thinking about, okay, what would it be like to be in Katrina?
Right.
What would it be like to be flooded out? And, one of the things you hear in New Orleans is the differences between experiences between people, and they were largely driven by money. So that's the president's part. You got the dead presidents in your pocket. If you got enough of them,
right,
you got the generator, you got the high ground, you've got the ability to come back in town ahead of the National Guard and so forth. But the fascinating part for me was like, so what's it look like to sit out in your sunroom and watch the water rise and realize that your life has changed in a way that you have absolutely no control over. And so you get the idea of presidents who are like, okay, these are people, we elect them, they're powerful,
right,
they're control, all this kind of stuff. And then there's nature, which we don't elect, as far as I know. And can't control and all this stuff, and the two intersect, and what happens?
No, good point. Speaking of like flood, obviously it wasn't even close to being that bad, but in Montreal in 1985, I remember because there was a flood actually on my birthday. It was July 14th. And I remember it because we were able to go out into the street and the sewers were clogged because of the leaves, because it's like middle of the summer, right? So we were able to go out and actually use like a little like kind of floaty raft and go around on the water up and down the street. No problem.
Yeah, I think one of our tendencies as human beings is to think, because, all right, we're 20, 30, 40 years old, and this is what the world has looked like. It's always looked like this. It will always look like this. Well, that's false. It won't.
Right.
It just won't. And so much of human culture is about building a bulwark against what has been or what will be. And the fact of the matter is we don't have nearly as much control as we think that we do.
Absolutely correct. For sure. Totally agree with that. Nolan, Catherine?
I'm curious about your musical background, Peter. How long have you been doing this? Did you ever do the band thing? Talk about yourself a bit, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. I'm on the radio and I'm supposed to talk about myself? Oh my God.
The man of few words comes alive.
Yeah. No, so I started taking piano when I was 7. And took piano from the age of 7 to about 18. I was in a band starting the age of 14, and we were a Bowie cover band. And I actually got in trouble in that band because I was too gay.
What?
And the band threw me out and decided to do ZZ Top instead.
Wow.
Which apparently was less gay.
Oh my God.
And then I lived in Athens, Georgia. And I was friends with the B-52s, REM, Pylon, Tone Tones, Method Actors, Love Tractor, long list of bands. Played in a band called Triage. Played in a band called OOK. Was mostly self-identified as a poet. Been a published poet, still am a published poet. But early in the 70s, I discovered Laurie Anderson, who is one of those fascinating people because she's not a musician, or wouldn't identify as a musician. Same thing. Although they have huge influences on music, and Laurie actually has had huge influences on technology as it affects music. So I guess the easiest thing to say would be that I have a very fluid sense of how music functions on a continuum between personal to theatrical to intimate to structural to expressive, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
For sure. So we have one more song to get to tonight, and the last song of tonight for part 1 with Peter Cline is a song called The White Swans. Dig this.
Stretched on her last bed in that yellow wedding dress. Oh, she's a mess, fragile as mint porcelain. She's waiting on the word to release her. All those white birds to carry her away. Past her door as innocents cling like vines in halls and passageways of her decline. She can well imagine what they say. She's waiting for the white swans in the trinity of stillness, of serenity. Will they come soon to carry her away? May they come soon and carry her away. All the jewels are paste and dust. Her paintings painted black, her smile is rust. All chairs are cracked past sitting, so it's fitting. And now she wants some wings to take her somewhere pure and new, beyond the petty mouths she fed. Now mouthing her, will they come soon to carry her away? May they come soon and carry her away.
The White Swans, Candy Trash. Peter, man, this really kind of gives a good taste of your vocals, and we'll call it a mellower side of things. Like, this was a great tune, and I know you like this one because I really dig this one too. It's like a fantastic, very well done. So, what's the story behind this one?
So, this actually started about 15 years ago. So, it goes way back, and it has to do with my grandmother dying. And it starts with images of that. And so, you have the woman on the bed in her wedding dress, and her face is a mess. She's fragile as mean porcelain. And I'm starting to imagine, you're right there at the end of your life.
Right.
What is that like? And because my family, who are interesting, you have these juxtapositions of scenes. There's the woman dying on the bed. There are the people outside in the hall wondering what they're going to get. There's the woman thinking about them. There's the woman thinking about what does the end actually look like.
Right.
And hoping that it is a certain kind of thing. It's transcendent. And flipping back to the non-transcendent parts, which is, people saying like, okay, am I going to get that picture? Am I going to get your shoes? Am I going to get this?
Right.
And flipping back. And so the White Swans are this image of salvation. And they are someone who takes you out of that piece. So the piece was very personal for me. It's unusual in my songs. You usually come out of a place of an artistic point of view. And this one came out of the point of view of, if I were my grandmother and dying,
Right.
what would this feel like? And so The White Swans is what it feels like for my grandmother to die.
Well put. Nolan, Catherine?
Are you a fan of Brian Eno? I thought I really detected some very strong Eno influence on that. I thought it was a beautiful piece. You had some lovely textures and colors going on there with the synths. But I was kind of reminded of music for films.
I like Brian Eno. I would not say that I'm a fan of anyone, because fandom implies a suspension of criticism or the ability to look at something critically. But I like Eno's ability to blend the ability of texture and melody to do certain things together that they used to do separately. I've been listening to The Big Ship the last few days, which was just released, and my first approach to The Big Ship was cynicism, because I just don't like anything with big in the title. And I'm not too fond of the word ship either. But I remember sitting on the sofa with a drink last night, listening to it, going like, how the fuck did he do that? Because he's actually a very, 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 very clever musician. So the short answer is there are some influences of Eno in what I do. I'm not sure if they're in that particular piece or not. I would say that where you're probably hearing them is the way the keyboard shifts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's it starts in one note and moves up a semitone, and then the harmonics move up with it. That's a very Eno thing. Could have come up with that on my own, but I doubt it. But I like that kind of thing where you're like, okay, it sounds kind of conventional, and there we go, and we're going to sing about people who are losing their dog and drinking too much bourbon. And here we go.
Right on. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the interview. Peter, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, it's a great album, Vacation Bible Trash. You guys can pick it up on pretty much all the media sites. And yeah, Peter, thank you very much. It's been a great time like always, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. Again, it's Vacation Bible School by Candy Trash, and it's available on CD Baby, Amazon, and iTunes. And I'm not in this, obviously, for the money. But, if anybody would like to buy it and write a nice review of it, hugely appreciate it. Hugely. MadAndersons, nice to meet you guys. And thank you very much for the thoughtful questions. And Brian Michael Walker, always nice to talk to you as well.
Absolutely. So, Peter, I'm going to get you on the line for just one moment, all right? So that's going to do it for part one of Music Saturday. We'll be back for part two in about 5-10 minutes. Big thank you to our special guest, Peter Cline. And remember to pick up his new album called Vacation Bible School. Until next time, Bones out. We'll be right back.